The unseen powers, the vanished powers, walk unseen among us. These entities, they are not myths nor idle tales. They are currents of influence, subtle and insidious, preying on thought, emotion, and will. Their mission, their sole reason to exist is to strike down those who stray in their course, those who lose their moral compass, those who have no center or foundation, tragically, to begin with, as a result of dynamics within this current system, matrix. But those who abandon discernment, whose minds are clouded with fear, desire, or confusion, but mostly fear, with a profound mix of desire. Fathers, leaders, guardians, people within your community, people that you know, certainly young people, are driven mad. Their reason, the voice, the same voice that God spoke to Elijah the prophet, that still small voice of your higher angel, your higher self. But that voice, driven, distorted by invisible currents, demonic currents that flow beneath ordinary life. The modern person is at a great disadvantage, chiefly because of materialism and the derision towards all things of a spiritual nature or an unseen nature. I think the term is woo. Many sober-minded, scientifically minded, modern, sensible, hip people laugh at all things woo. And that is by design. Because the elites, those in so-called charge, but those people who are at the top of this dynamic of the archonic matrix system, they are very spiritual. They practice rituals. They are of an occult education. They full well know the reality of the unseen world. And I'm going to tell you that an agnostic is a confused fool. An atheist is an ignorant fool. They are preyed upon. They are preyed upon by the Antichrist. Now, the Antichrist very well will be identified at a later date as an individual. It will be an artificial intelligence controlled cyborg, android, but so realistic, so passable as human. It will be the great deception. It will arise from Israel, from Unit 8200, and it will be tied into the quantum architecture of the artificial intelligence beast system. That will be an individual known as the Antichrist. However, it is also understood as the forces, the totality of the forces of darkness, opposing the glory and light and earth's ascension. Like I said, embodied individually, however, known collectively as all the agents and allies of the Dark Lodge, the Dark Brotherhood, the Sons of Belial. And that is very realistic. It is unfortunate that a great many people are preyed upon for their lack of knowledge. My people perish for the lack of knowledge. Yet there is hope. As the Gospels have revealed, the demonic is not invincible. Now, what struck the first disciples of the great emissary of light, Yeshua, was not the evidence, the reality of demonic spirits of and in themselves, because that was quite well known in their time. But what struck them was the authority of the great emissary of light, fleet commander Yeshua, grand commander of all the forces of light. But at that time, Jesus, Sananda, whatever name you are comfortable with, Buddha, Krishna, many great emissaries of light have demonstrated this control over the lower nature, the authority of one aligned with the true source, the unknowable God. Not talking about the demiurge Yahweh, but all of these great emissaries of light have control over the lower nature. Those who are in alignment with true source, capable of confronting, commanding, and expelling these demons, these demonic negative entities. And the authority is not a coercion or a raising of a voice or becoming animated or such, so on and so forth, how much potent coffee one drinks to rile them up. But it is from a clarity of consciousness, rooted in truth, and a type of possession, not a demonic possession, but an unwavering self-possession. Dear viewer, the methods of the demon slayer, they're neither ritualistic nor bound to superstition. They are rooted, they are founded within the practices of discernment, inner alignment, and psychological sovereignty. Observe subtle compulsions that may arise within your field of awareness, obsessions and intrusive patterns in yourself or your environment. These are often the fingerprints of negative influence, and the fingerprints are all over this world in this day and age. But practice grounding and centering. Cultivate presence through breath, meditation, contemplative focus, study. A centered mind is a fortress. A scattered mind is an open doorway. Command through intention. Speak or visualize boundaries with clarity. This influence will leave. This demonic presence will leave. I am sovereign. Authority emerges not from fear, but from unshakable self-possession. He who walks through this desert of demonic possession like a lion. Purification of your mind, your environment. Engage in practices that cleanse and stabilize your consciousness. Mindful observation, ethical action, limiting exposure to toxic input, and maintaining supportive social and spiritual context, pursuits, associations. Most importantly, alignment with your higher self, your higher consciousness, your holy guardian angel. Seek guidance, not from external dogma, but from inner gnosis, your own convictions, the intuitive, experiential knowledge of reality that connects you to a greater and benevolent order. Yes, the source of all creation wants the best for you, wants you to be successful, wants you to complete your mission, whatever that may be. Dear viewer, the invisible powers of the archonic hierarchy may rage. They may wail and gnash their teeth. They may throw objects about, create a great clamor, yet they cannot endure the clarity of one who has seen, recognized, and acted from alignment with truth. The modern demon slayer is no priest or mystic alone, but a mind and heart disciplined to meet chaos with awareness, to confront fear with authority, and to claim sovereignty over one's own being. The world is fraught with unseen forces. But the path of gnosis, the discipline awakening to truth, reveals a power greater than all vanished powers, a greater power than the archonic matrix of dominion, of fleshy dominion. Awake, observe, and command. This is the authority that astonishes even the hidden. You can hear them now, going on about their day. But this great battle of Armageddon, dear viewer, can be understood on one level, in the third dimension, physical level, as for sure it will play out as a self-fulfilling prophecy to some extent, as it's meant to do. But it can better be understood and more powerfully understood as an inner battle with your lower nature and your higher nature. Which will win out? Which master will you serve? Which master, which energy, which dominion will you seek? The idea of Armageddon as an inner individual battle, a spiritual, psychological conflict between your higher spiritual nature and your lower worldly desires, is a more actionable understanding. And this is found in various mythical and spiritual traditions. It recontextualizes the biblical story of a final world-ending battle into a personal struggle for the human soul. Spirit versus flesh. This is a central theme with the inner spiritual person. Jacob, as he's known in the Bible, and keep in mind, the Bible is primarily a book of astrotheology. It is a book of instructions, basic instructions before leaving earth. And all of the figures in the Bible, all the stories in the Bible relate to you and your journey. So Jacob represents your inner spiritual person, battling against the physical earthly desires of who is represented by Esau. And the goal is for the spiritual self to supplant and overcome the limitations of the physical body. For those on a spiritual journey, this battle is often more intense. It is a constant test of allegiance to one spiritual path, involving resistance from worldly temptations and self-doubt. You, the individual, are the battleground of Armageddon. So instead of a physical place, the human soul becomes the actual location of Armageddon. The battle is a process of discernment, where a person must choose to resist worldly deceptions and align with a higher spiritual authority. And it is a daily battle, for certain, dear viewer. Fortunately, speaking of my own path, my own testimony, a very significant event took place in 2021 that put me on the path that I am even to this very day. But that path is still a battle every day. We each have our own lower realities to face. At that time, I was able to vanquish the greatest demon that had been plaguing me for my entire life. But I still have other demons, which can be understood as negative plasmic energies, yin and yang. We don't, but do realize that they exist. The modern person is prey to unseen realities because they will perish for lack of knowledge. My people perish for lack of knowledge. But daily this battle continues until the great perfection of your personality, as much as you are able to accomplish in this lifetime before your consciousness is released from this genetic vehicle that it temporarily finds housing in, this container for consciousness known as the human flesh suit. But daily the battles continue. I still have demons that I have to be mindful of. And fortunately, I have a context to be able to consider courses of action, weigh what's taking place within my own psyche, and practice discernment to take advantage of the sword of the great battle angel Michael, and in this case is a sword of fifth dimensional discernment, and use that discernment to continue up upon this path, to continue to receive divine protection that will allow the house of Umbanda, the temple of Umbanda, the ashram of Umbanda to prevail and to persist and exist in this golden age that we are all going to be the inheritors of. And you can participate in that golden age each day the more you are able to align yourself to divine gnosis. Namaste. Namaskaram.